Dominik's shocking win. WWE Universe stunned. Dominik proves them wrong. Nobody saw this coming. Dominik's biggest moment. What if the one superstar fans laughed at for years just pulled off the biggest upset of the entire tournament? And what if the WWE Universe is only now realizing that Dominik Mysterio might be far more dangerous than anyone ever gave him credit for? Because that is exactly the conversation happening right now. For years, Dominik Mysterio has lived under a cloud of criticism. Every arena he walks into erupts with boos. Every promo gets interrupted by thousands of fans trying to drown him out. Every achievement somehow gets explained away by people saying he was lucky, protected, or simply in the right place at the right time. But after what happened this week, the conversation suddenly feels very different. And honestly, even the people who can't stand Dominik are struggling to explain it away. Now before we dive in, hit that like button if you've been following the King of the Ring tournament, subscribe if you're new around here, and let me know in the comments right now, was Dominik's victory a fluke, or are we witnessing the rise of a future main event star? Because trust me, things are getting very interesting. The road leading into this match felt strange from the beginning. Most fans had already picked their favorites. Everyone had their predictions. Everyone had their brackets. The usual names were being thrown around. Established stars. Former champions. Crowd favorites. The people fans expected to dominate. And somewhere buried underneath all those predictions was Dominik Mysterio. Almost like an afterthought. Almost. But here's the funny thing about wrestling. The moment everybody becomes convinced they know exactly what's going to happen, WWE usually reminds us that we don't. And that reminder arrived in spectacular fashion. As the tournament progressed, Dominik kept finding ways to survive. Notice the word survive. Not dominate. Not destroy. Survive. There's a difference. Every round felt like people were waiting for his luck to run out. Every victory came with another excuse. He got help. He got lucky. He stole it. He didn't really earn it. Sound familiar? At some point, though, you start running out of excuses. Because if someone keeps winning over and over again, eventually the results become impossible to ignore. And that's where we are now. The fascinating thing about Dominik's career is that nobody seems willing to give him credit. Think about it. If another superstar generated this much reaction from audiences every single week, people would call them one of the hottest acts in wrestling. But because it's Dominik, the reactions somehow don't count. Which is hilarious when you really think about it. Imagine being booed by 20,000 people so loudly that your own entrance music becomes impossible to hear. That's not easy. That's actually incredibly difficult. A lot of wrestlers would panic. A lot of wrestlers would freeze. Dominik somehow turned it into a superpower. And over the past few years, he has quietly evolved. Not overnight. Not with some magical transformation. Little by little. Week by week. Match by match. The version of Dominik Mysterio we see today is completely different from the nervous young performer who first appeared beside his legendary father. Speaking of which, that shadow has always followed him. The shadow of being Rey Mysterio's son. Imagine trying to build your own legacy when your father is one of the most beloved wrestlers in history. No pressure, right? Just one of the greatest luchadors ever. Nothing intimidating about that. Not at all. For years, fans compared everything Dominik did to Rey. Every move. Every promo. Every match. Every mistake. And no matter what Dominik accomplished, it never seemed enough. But something changed when he embraced being the villain. Something clicked. Instead of fighting the criticism, he started using it. Instead of trying to win people over, he leaned into their hatred. And somehow, That decision may have saved his career. Because now the boos are no longer a problem. They're fuel. They're energy. They're part of the act. They're part of who Dominik has become. And nowhere was that more obvious than during this tournament run. Every step forward seemed to make the crowd even angrier. Which only made Dominik smile more. That's when you know a heel understands their role. When the negativity becomes part of the performance. When every insult from the audience somehow makes the character stronger. The crazy part? Fans might accidentally be helping create a superstar. Seriously. Think about how often people talk about Dominik. Think about how much attention he generates. Think about how many social media discussions start the moment he appears on screen. Love him or hate him, people react. And in professional wrestling, reactions are everything. Now let's talk about the victory itself. Because this is where things become fascinating. The moment the result became official, you could practically feel the shock spread across the wrestling world. Social media exploded. Fans started arguing immediately. Some celebrated. Some complained. Some genuinely couldn't believe what they had just watched. And honestly, that kind of reaction is exactly what WWE wants. Predictability rarely creates memorable moments. Surprises do. And this felt like a genuine surprise. The kind that leaves fans staring at their screens wondering if they saw what they think they saw. You know those moments when commentary sounds shocked? Sometimes that's performance. This didn't feel like performance. This felt like everyone realizing that a major piece of WWE's future might be shifting right in front of them. Because here's the bigger question nobody can stop asking. What happens next? That's the mystery. That's the part that makes the story so compelling. Winning a huge tournament match is one thing. Capitalizing on it is something entirely different. Can Dominik use this momentum to reach another level? Can he turn one shocking victory into a defining career run? Can he force the wrestling world to finally take him seriously? Those questions suddenly matter. A lot. And if you're WWE creative, you've got to be looking at this reaction and smiling. Because controversy creates conversation. Conversation creates attention. Attention creates momentum. And momentum creates stars. Not every star follows the traditional path. Some become beloved heroes. Others become hated villains. Dominik seems determined to become the second type. The type that walks into an arena and immediately controls the atmosphere. The type that can change the mood of an entire show just by appearing. That's valuable. Extremely valuable. You know what's funny? Years ago, if someone predicted Dominik Mysterio would become one of the most talked about names in WWE